Hello crafty friends, this is card 29 in Full Deck Challenge 2. Today's prompt is 15 layers. For those who are not new to my channel, you'll know that I love lots of layers. And this prompt is no exception. I'm keeping to a neutral theme, but you can use any color that you like or multiple colors. I've gathered some lace, some tissue paper, fiber paper, vellum, printed vintage sheets, some old book pages. I've counted 15 items. You can go more or less if you're struggling with 15. I'm going to start by adding some Mod Podge to my card to adhere some tissue paper to it. You can use gel medium or craft glue too. And the tissue paper that I'm going to use for my first layer is the type that is from an old dress pattern. I always love the vintage feel that it gives. Once this is nice and dry, I'm going to tear off the excess. As I was tearing, a little bit of the corner came out, exposing the white face of the card, but that's not a problem. You could either add tissue paper on top of that. I'm just going to add a little bit of Distress ink all the way around. And that covers the white bits quite nicely. And because there's a bit of Mod Podge underneath, the ink does stay and it doesn't rub off. And now I'm going to start layering all my other little bits. I'm going to alternate between light and dark tones to create a nice balance. And I'm also not going to keep on the actual face of the card. It is going to spill over. That's something that I really like doing. There's no right and wrong here. It is what you like and what is pleasing to your eye. But do try to have a small piece of each layer sticking out somewhere so it is visible. To add some additional dimension, I am roughing up the edges on some of the papers. I curl up the corners and then on the sides I make a little tear and then I curl the little torn bits in. And then I use a bit of Distress ink to make it look more aged. I like adding this round element to create a point of difference. I'm just going to fussy cut this out. You could also use an image from a magazine if you like, or any kind of die cut or picture that you like. Because everything is the same color, you do need lighter and darker tones. So as I said earlier, I am trying to alternate that so you are able to see each one and they don't all just blend into one color. For example, at the bottom where I've just put a little spiral edged paper that is like a coffee stain, it's getting a little bit lost in the background of the card, but I am going to sort that out shortly. Another way to add dimension is to crumple up some of the pieces of paper and then unfold them again. And then maybe even highlight the crease marks with some Distress ink. This is where I add an additional white element underneath the spiral paper so that it stands out a little bit more and it doesn't get lost in the background. It's never too late to join in the Full Deck Challenge. I'll put a link to both playlists in the description box below. If you're on Facebook, please do join my group. Just search Full Deck Challenge Group. I'm also adding a piece of calico fabric with some beautiful frayed edges, and then I have this die cut that I made. I love that it's quite whimsical, it's not solid and just brings a really soft element in the background and it helps balance out the card. To try and keep everything in place so I know where to glue it down, I'm going to put a piece of paper over the entire card and then flip it over and then lift my card off. And that sort of leaves everything in a sort of location where it's meant to go, so it helps me to know the positioning. I would usually glue this down with hot glue, but for this one I'm going to use a liquid craft glue. This is to give me some time to move things around if they're not placed in quite the correct place. So it gives you the freedom to move things around and make changes. Instead of the white tissue paper at the bottom, I did forget my 15th layer element, which was the cheesecloth. So I'm adding that at the bottom, sticking out a little bit. And then I'm going to continue layering. This fiber paper and also the printed vellum is from Topology. I will put a link to their website in the description box below. Although we're working on an altered plain card, you could use the same method for the front of a journal cover. I think it would look amazing. Now, when vellum gets a little bit wet, it becomes a little bit stubborn and it starts curling up. So as you can see here, it is not laying flat, and it won't until the glue dries. So because I need to have it flat for the positioning of all my other elements, I am going to put a small drop of hot glue just to keep this naughty paper down. Once I place my vintagey printed paper on the top, I notice that my lace is hiding a little bit too much, and because my glue is still wet, I can easily adjust it so it's peeking out a little bit more. Feel free to adjust the pieces and make them smaller if need be as you're creating and sticking down your layers. And now my small little wooden frame as my final layer, but we're not quite done yet. Placing it slightly off center to balance out the big round clock on the top right hand corner. And everything on the right is quite heavy. I'm not going to call this a layer, this is just going to be a focal point. I am going to add a small butterfly just to finish it off because I do think it needs this. This butterfly is from Digital Collage Club, and for them too, I will put a link to their website in the description box below. And just before I add the butterfly down, I am going to put some white thread scrumpled up all underneath to help make the butterfly pop. Now, if that's not an overload of layering, then I don't know what is. I personally think it looks fabulous. I really hope you enjoyed this challenge and thinking outside the box and using so many pieces for layering. I hope you enjoyed my video and were inspired to create your own and hopefully join the Full Deck Challenge. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I would love if you subscribe to my channel. I have lots of junk journaling, art journaling, and of course, this is home of the Full Deck Challenge. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.